Welcome back to the HMA Interview Podcast. We're excited to have the first ever NCAA All-American for Franklin Marshall, Rick Durso, join us today for the 50th interview. Before we roll the episode, let me fill you in on the latest at HMA Wrestling. First and foremost, we have just published our first ever merchandise order, and it is live on our site at hmawrestling.com/shop. That's hmawrestling.com/shop. Purchasing our compound sportswear gear is the best way to support HMA to keep on producing content. Alright, enough from me. Let's turn it over to Rick Durso. Alright, welcome back to the Home At Advantage Interview Podcast. Today, I'm Sam Herring. Jude Swisher is joined by me with Rick Durso. Rick, how's it going today?
It's good, guys. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic.
Man. Good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, thank you for taking time out of your super dang busy schedule. And
Absolutely.
No, we just want to say congratulations on your performance from this past weekend on the NLWC Rockfin card against Malik Amin. You looked incredible, man. You looked so good.
Not bad for my first time back, huh?
Oh my gosh, how long has it been?
See, I graduated in 2016 in college. This is my first kind of freestyle training I've done in my career of wrestling in the past, 20-some years, 25 years or whatever. So, 22. But I've done 2 tournaments since I've graduated. I did one in 17 and 19, just kind of for the hell of it. I coach at Malvern, so I was telling the kids I wanted to get back into it. So it was kind of more for them. But yeah, this is pretty much my first really big thing back.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Wow, and how did it feel being back out there on the mat?
Sorry, there we go. It felt great. There's nothing like kind of being out there just one-on-one, kind of zone out. Like my college coach used to say, like tunnel vision, you see nothing outside your peripherals, just whatever's in front of you. And, I wish I could give you this is how it felt, but honestly, I kind of blacked out there. I don't remember a single thing. But it feels good. You're getting into that zone again.
Yeah. Oh man. What about making weight? Was that at all an issue? This has got to be your first time making weight in a year, right?
I mean, that was probably probably more than, I'd say 4 years. I wasn't really cutting weight for those tournaments I did, but this was that was the lowest I've weighed since I graduated college, for sure. But even still, it wasn't too bad. I mean, I'm at my heaviest right now. I'm walking around 171-ish. So the weight class was 161 and a half. Or 1.8, so 8-9 pounds. Wasn't too bad. I mean,
no, not bad.
I'm losing 6 pounds in an hour and a half workout at practice. So that's not too bad. Not too big. It's better than making 141. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, right. Jeez. So Rick, where are you right now?
Right now, I'm just in my bedroom. I'm in Philadelphia, PA. I live down here. I grew up outside in the suburbs of Philly, but I've been living down here the past 2.5 years now. Today's our off day with the PRTC, so got a lift in, got a bike ride, a little active recovery, and now just got the rest of the day to chill. Not too much going on with my work, so
nice. So now I have more time to do podcasts and things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So Rick, when did you start wrestling? What brought you to the sport?
So I started when I was 5 years old. I was in kindergarten. I hated it, but
yeah.
in the beginning days, my dad, he liked playing football. I did a lot of sports, baseball, played some hockey. But my dad, and I was 5 years old, was like, "Oh, we want to try out wrestling?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" So I went in there. I was 5 years old. I cried my first practice. Came off the mat. He threw me back in there. Made me keep going, and then I stuck with it. I grew up doing pretty much every sport you could think of,
every single one.
Every single one. Every season I had at least 1 or 2 sports going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but once I got to high school, football was always my favorite, but I was a late bloomer. So size was a big factor when in other sports like football, once you start getting older.
Right.
After freshman year of high school, when I decided to just stick with just wrestling. And, obviously that's brought me to where I am here today. There's a lot more in the middle there. I'm sure we'll get to cover here, but I'll leave it off there if you guys want to.
And why did you decide wrestling? Why specifically wrestling? Like you said, you did all these other sports. Why did you settle in on wrestling?
So, I definitely excelled the most with wrestling growing up. And it was wrestling, as you guys know, it's a sport where size, it doesn't really matter because you have your different weight classes. So size is not a factor in that at all. Whereas, football that was my other favorite sport I wanted to continue with. But, going into high school as a freshman, I was 14 years old. I was 5 foot flat, 103 pounds. That wasn't going to cut it anymore. So I stuck with wrestling, and, it turned out to be the right decision for me. I'm glad I did. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So when you first started wrestling, or maybe at any point in your career, did you have a conscious moment or sometime that you remember just thinking, man, I really love this sport, that time when it clicked, when you really decided you loved it?
It clicked. Yeah, like I'd say, I told you guys, like originally I hated it, and I didn't want to continue with it, but my dad he was always on me, if you quit wrestling, you're playing basketball, you're doing something in the world.
Right.
I was like, all right, well, so I'm sticking with wrestling. I'm way too short for basketball. So once I got to high school, it all kind of took a turn. It's more of like, I guess more of just like a sport. Like, well, when you're growing up, it's more of like, I guess, you're just going there. It's like a recreational type thing. At least for me, I wasn't doing a lot of off-season stuff. Once I got to high school and it really like started clicking more, like, this is what I want to do. I want to be around like a team that's actually working hard. Everyone's working for the same goal. I had a great coach growing up. He's actually still the coach there at Malvern now. I went to Malvern for high school. Yeah. And Malvern as well. And it all really just took a turn in high school, like I said, where I started just enjoying it more. We had like a more team camaraderie. We were just having a lot of fun. And that's kind of once I got I went up. And then let's see. So like Malvern, you guys go to Malvern. So when I got to high school, it was 2007, 2008. We had a team of like 7 or 8 guys. So we were a pretty good tournament team. We had some solid kids.
Rick, why did you decide on Malvern?
Okay, yeah, let's start there. So I was more of I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I mean, at 8th grade, who knows where they want to go to school, really, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But so the coach at Malvern, actually, I had known him since I was friends with his little sister. He was my coach from when I was 6th grade and on. And so he was the coach at Malvern. He really was trying to pull me in to come there. And like I did a visit there. Some of my other friends visited, and like we all loved it. And it was like an instant fit for me, just like that. And I wouldn't change it for another thing. I wouldn't go to another school if I had to redo it at all. I really enjoyed it.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
So in your time at Malvern and your time before then, did you wrestle in many big tournaments on this national scene?
Before Malvern, you said?
Anytime during Malvern, at Malvern. Obviously, I'm sure while you're at Malvern, that schedule's pretty dang tough. I'm sure you had some pretty good tournaments.
Yeah, so obviously Malvern is one of the big dogs now. But when I got there, I was kind of like the first class that kind of started the progression to where they're at now. Like I said, we had 7 or 8 guys. We didn't have the depth at all that we have now. We didn't have the toughness of schedule. We didn't go to Beast of the East until my junior year, I believe. So, obviously we did prep nationals and all that. But so we did preps Beast. I only made it to the round of 12 twice, the 2 years that we did it. So I wasn't like your standout guy in high school at all by any means. So I guess to further that whole thing, when did things click? Once I got to college is kind of more so when the ball got really rolling for me. Puberty, as you guys are going through it now, it's a big thing, and your body's changing, you're getting stronger, you're quickly developing. The whole puberty thing didn't really start happening for me until I was getting to college, and that's when a whole nother level for me opened up. I really started noticing differences in my wrestling once I got to college. But I was a solid good high school wrestler.
Dude, you had like 100? I have it right here, 169 wins.
Yeah,
that's more than just a solid high school wrestler. That's very good.
Yeah. We had a lot of matches. I mean, we'd get like 50 a year in because right. NCAA public schools, I think they're limited to how many they can wrestle a year, but private, we were able to do a lot more, like as far as tournaments go.
Yeah, you see kids now, they like, who was it? There's this dude at who has like 200 high school wins or 250 high school wins. It's like ridiculous. That's so many. Plus, I mean, he's a New York kid. In New York, they can wrestle high school like 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade.
Right. So. Yeah, so even in PA you can too, actually, Malvern. So we have the middle school there, and they can compete for the high school for like certain matches. But I mean, I didn't start my. Like, I didn't go to the middle school there, so I wasn't able to do that. Mine was just in the 4 years. But, yeah, some guys, like you're saying, they have the 2 extra years. They get a lot of it's crazy.
It's insane.
Oh, yeah.
So you had, I mean, you were a 3-time prep runner-up, right? So you're National Prep All-American.
I took, let's see, didn't place my freshman year. My sophomore year, took 7th. Junior year 8th, senior year 4th. So like I said, decent, not like I wasn't in the top tier at all there. But, there were guys that I lost to in high school and then ended up like pinning in college. Like I took some big leaps and bounds after I graduated high school and kind of went on to the next level.
As you're going through, this youth and middle school circuit, at what point did you know that you wanted to compete Division I?
Honestly, probably not until like my junior year of high school. Like for someone, wrestling's a very tightly knit community. Everyone knows everything except for me. Like, is that I did it my entire life. I didn't follow it at all. To this day, I still don't follow it as much as I should. Like I go out there and I compete. Like I'm a competitor. I like to go out there and wrestle. But like I don't much as much like wrestling knowledge as a lot of people as far as like, who this person is, which sometimes a lot of people like get psyched out when they see a big name they're going up against. I have a story I give you guys to kind of explain this. So my freshman year of college, we were at one of the Lock Haven Opens. My first match, I have this guy from Michigan. So I asked one of the seniors on my team, I'm like, yo, who this guy is that I have? He's like, oh, yeah, I've seen him wrestle before. He's like, nothing special. He didn't surprise me at all. I was like, all right. So I go out there, a lot of confidence. Like, I'm going to tune this guy up. Come off the mat. It's like 8-3. I'm like, what the fuck's like? What's going on here? So it's 8-3. I try to go for like a last second throw. It doesn't work out. I come off the mat all pissed off, slam the mat. And I was like, dude, who was that guy? He's like, yeah, I didn't want to let you know before, but that's Kellen Russell. He's a national.
Oh, my gosh, Kellen Russell.
I was like, why the hell did you tell him he's a nobody? He's like, yeah. So that's kind of like to explain how much I don't follow it. That's kind of that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Oh my word, that's actually hilarious.
Yeah, that's one of the more embarrassing stories that I had. But
well, talk about the decision. So at junior year, you decide you want to wrestle. In college.
Right.
Was Division II, Division III in your mind, or was it just D1?
No, that was never an option for me. I always wanted to go. I wanted to go to the highest level. Like I knew what I was capable of doing. I knew I had a lot more. I had a lot higher to go. Like I had a lot more work to do it. I wasn't at the top level yet, but I knew I could be, and like I knew what I was capable of doing. So,
and then what brought you to Franklin Marshall?
Right. So the school I wanted to go to was University of Maryland. There, I was talking to Coach Kerry McCoy. I got into the school. I was like, this is great. I'm going to go here. My dad was kind of pushing more for a smaller school for me. And like I said, Nate Lauder, the coach at Malvern, who actually got me to go to Malvern, went to Franklin and Marshall. So he was in that as well. Coach Mike Rogers had just started coaching there. It was his first year with my recruiting class. And, I met him at a Malvern camp over the summer, and I was like, I really like this guy. I'll take a little visit. So I went up there. Like, I liked what he was doing with the program. He was really turning it around, changing the culture up there. And, I was glad to be one of the front runners of it and be a part of that. So yeah, more of the coaching side is kind of what brought me to there.
Yeah. And the illustrative, like, being that first of the class to, like really break through and turn the program around. That's very.
Yeah. So I ended up being his as head coach. I always had been his first, I think, and only now, first All-American. So, me and him, we really had a little tight bond there. He really worked with me a lot, one-on-one. So I had a great coach. He showed me a lot of things. He kind of gave me a good foundation to wrestle off of. I was more of an orthodox type style wrestler, like very funky, relied on like weird scrambling situations, and he kind of gave me some good fundamentals and made me a little more technically sound, which is good to have that part of the wrestling in your.
Yeah. Would you say that was the biggest transition for you, that like technical, getting those fundamentals sound? Was that the biggest transition between high school and college for you?
Oh yeah, 100%. That was definitely a big part. Instead of relying on, if someone gets on a shot, relying on like rolls and getting into like some funks or like stuff in the head, getting your hips back, just those little things. Those little minute details with wrestling are kind of will bring you the furthest. Like the small thing, bringing your tail leg up, getting your hips under you. It's just those little things that your coaches preach and preach and preach. That's what actually will get you the furthest, not the big flashy moves and all that. And then just the mindset, mental toughness, not conceding and giving up, easy points ever. If someone's going to score on you, you better make them go through hell to get it. And, being mentally tough, that's, I think, another big thing that kind of you have to push through to get to the next level in college.
So you're a coach now, right, at Malvern Prep, correct?
Yep. So I'm a coach, and I guess now I'm PRTC wrestler as well, part-time.
Right. Well, so as a coach, how do you help a kid out who has those mental struggles? How do you give them that mental edge, that mental toughness?
Right. So, a lot of that part you can't really teach. A lot of that is, it's just kind of like your own like inner kind of battle you have to go through. You can help them out a lot. You can help them out as much as you can with, talking to them after a match or, if they're feeling down, getting in their head a little bit. But it's really, it's really just pushing them, making them go through a hard practice. Don't let them quit. If they're feeling tired, pick them back up, push them a little more. Like if we're doing conditioning after practice, if there's someone I want to pick on for the day, I'll get next to them and I'll do sprints with them. Or like if there's something slow down, I'll put my hand on their back and I'll like make them run at my pace. Kind of making that, making that like kind of click in their head. Like this is what I got to do. I got to push through my tiredness. And that's kind of where, your mental toughness comes in my opinion. Yep.
So is there anything different that you wish you had done or gone through differently in your recruiting process?
Recruiting process with college?
Yeah.
I definitely, like I said, I only kind of looked at those two schools. Or no, I looked at a little bit more, but I wish I looked into depth a little more, at a little more schools, did some like overnights. I never stayed over at any of the schools. So I definitely would have, looked at my options a little more than I did, stayed overnight, gotten to know the teams a little better. But, I made a good decision in the end of the day. Like I enjoyed where I went. I had a good like path laid out for me there with Coach Rogers and, what he had in mind for me. But yeah, so definitely, if you guys are like, for you guys, if you're thinking of looking into colleges, definitely don't start too late. Number one. And don't settle too soon, don't settle somewhere where you don't feel 100% fit or 100% at home. Make sure you get up to these colleges, check them out, stay over if you need to, get to know the guys, because those are going to be your teammates for the next 4 years,
Right, you are, dude.
Yeah, 5 years. But.
Yeah, right. Sometimes even 6 or 7, right? Now they give out those medical red shirts like hotcakes.
Oh yeah,
there you go, dude. So, Rick, how was that first year of competition for you? And like, you're making this transition of increasing your fundamentals and again, like any mental things that you're struggling with. But what was that first year of competition like for you?
That first year, it was definitely a big jump. I went up another weight class. I wasn't cutting weight at all. I didn't start cutting weight until after my third year of college. But just you're realizing that almost every match you're wrestling is, a state semifinals, a state finals match. You're not running into too many, like too many scrubs you're just going to wipe the mat with. Now, once you get to a certain level, that will happen. You're going to find yourself, a lot more like outmatched or out, like you're going to find yourself, it's a little more a mismatch. Like you will walk over some kids, but you got to realize that, I had to realize that, a lot of these matches are going to be tough. You're going to be grinding every single match. Back then, before they had those regulations, I was wrestling up 8 matches a day. So you just really have to be able to grind and just kind of go to like your like empty space in your mind where you're like all your, you're not thinking about anything, everything's second nature. That, and then, just doing everything right, getting to your weight class right, being smart about working out, when you're working out, like what you're doing, what you're putting in your body. It all plays a much different factor, in college than in high school. It's just, it's another level. It's a whole other beast once you get to the Division I level. But yeah.
Did you have any specific goals going into college? What were the plans that you had for your college career? What did that look like when you first got there?
Yeah, so every year our coach would have us put a list of goals together. You have a list we have 3 goals, and each goal would have sub goals, goals below that, and how we're going to achieve that goal. So and these had to be you had to make them attainable and all that. But my first year, I was wasn't really sure how I was going to do it all. But my first year was just my biggest goal was just to make the NCAAs. I wanted to make it there. I obviously you want to place and all that, but as a freshman, I just wanted to at least get there, and I did end up making it. I qualified. I lost my first 2 matches. Actually, they were pretty close matches. I lost 4-3 to Hunter Stever, and it was like 5-4 to someone else. But yeah, so they were close. But it's very important just to make your goals and make sure they're attainable every year. And then have some like benchmark points. Like, am I on the track to make the goal? If not, how am I going to, veer off course here and get back on course and make it that goal? But yeah, and then we did that every year, and each year, my goal got higher and higher, and I was able to attain those goals. So I was happy with how that turned out. But
right, and what was your biggest jump that you made from your freshman year to your sophomore and eventually down the road?
Yeah, so I would say it was the amount of time out of season that I spent training. So in high school, I didn't really do much training over the summer. I went to the beach, just tried to be like a normal kid, like enjoy myself. But in college, we had some time set apart for actually training over the summer. And although I had a decently successful freshman year, sophomore year is kind of where I made my biggest jump. I made a run at the NCAA tournament, made it to the quarterfinals. I was back against Hunter Stever again, had him beat with 20 seconds left, gave up a questionable takedown on the edge. So, I was right there, and I realized, I'm right there with the best guys in the country. I'm there as well. I didn't see myself there before, but I was like, what? I know I'm there now. I've been putting in the work. And I think it was in the beginning of that season, though, I had like a standout tournament where, everything kind of changed. I was like, I know I'm at this next level now. I deserve to be out there with all these guys. Yeah, but it all starts setting your goals and, putting in the work.
Did you ever do any freestyle during the summers?
No. So summer of 2015, we did 2 freestyle tournaments. That was my last summer of college before my senior year, my 5th year. We did 2 tournaments. We trained for like a month or so, but other than that, I've never done any freestyle. This right now is with the Pennsylvania RTC is my first freestyle train officially that I've ever done. And it's definitely a little different. The defending shots and all that, parterre.
Yeah,
still working on it. But the biggest, I'm sure you guys know if you've done freestyle at all, the biggest difference is how you defend shots and not like letting yourself roll over.
Yeah.
Keeping your stomach level with the ground and not having your back get exposed at all. That was the biggest thing I had to because I liked doing, a lot of rolls and stuff, but I realized quickly you cannot do that.
Right.
For sure, yeah.
So, so your junior year, correct? You were an All-American for Franklin and Marshall.
Correct.
And this had been a goal, since your freshman year, and
oh yeah,
to make that podium. What was that like for you, achieving that goal? And just the recourse that came from that.
Yeah. So, I took 8th. I wanted to take a lot higher than that. So like, that was my goal was being All-American, but your goal is obviously to be at the top of that podium.
Right.
I was very close to being in the finals that year. I was in the quarters again. Lost another match that I was winning in the quarters by 1. Gave up a crummy takedown at the end of the match with like 20 seconds left. Would have had somebody in the semis that I had actually beaten already earlier that year. So, and just knowing that you could have gotten a lot higher, meeting that goal, but never being satisfied with it. So, although that was my goal, I was, through the moon happy. Like nothing could have rained on my parade at all after that. I was, super just very happy and thrilled to be up there, but also I was not satisfied. And my goal for the next year is, to be in the top so and so for NCAA symbol. You know what I mean? So right. So once you get to a goal, then you got to set more goals that are higher than that. But yeah, to answer your question, it was one of the greatest moments of my life, being able to get out there with the parade champions and all that, and be out on the mat.
Mm. That's super special, man. And then talk about your senior year, and what happened there. Yeah.
So senior year, I'm not gonna make any excuses. I definitely should bet a little bit. But I had my redshirt year. I'd gone up to 149. I started growing out of the 141 weight class once, puberty and all that was setting in a little bit more. I was getting more size, and and that turned out to be not the right decision for me at all. My body was shutting down. I was getting sick a lot. I couldn't hold the weight. And it took me, honestly, the first 2 or 3 months of the season to kind of get acclimated back to that weight class. I was losing to guys that I should have been teching. It was just a real hard thing for me to get over. I ended up kind of turning it back on a little bit towards the second half of the season. I won our conferences, but once we got to NCAAs, I wasn't able to compete at that weight class. The first match of the day would be good, but by the second I'd be fried. And that's one of the another big thing that I have always been on since then is finding the appropriate weight class for you, because you could be the best wrestler in the world. If you're cutting too much weight, it's not gonna do well for you.
Right.
Going up, if I hindsight, this is probably my biggest regret in my wrestling career was not going up to 149 that my last year. I would have been a lot stronger, would have competed a little more fiercely up there. And but hindsight 2020, it's something I learned from. It's something that as a coach I'll be able to kind of be a little more on top of with having wrestlers that are trying to do. Yep.
So when did you make the transition to freestyle to the Penn RTC, and what went into that decision to get there?
Yeah, so this is actually a pretty funny story, man. For some of the guys were laughing about it a few weeks ago. So once I graduated, I was a little sucked out from all the weight. I was, I'm done with it. No more. I'm out of this. I'll go to the coaching side. So I've been coaching at Malvern for, this will be my 5th year coming up. So 4 years. And, I always said I would. And then once, the past year or two, I started really loving the coaching aspect of it. And then I started really wanting to get back into the competing side, because I was I'm starting to love the sport again. I'm not as burnt out anymore. I let my body rest. So coming up at the end of this last high school season in end of February, I was talking to one of our other coaches. He was one of my teammates in college, and we were like, "Yeah, let's try and do a freestyle tour after the season's over." And he was like, "Yeah, you should try last chance qualifiers. Might as well." And I was like, me not knowing anything about wrestling, I was like, "What the hell? What the hell's last?" Like, it's the last chance to qualify for the Olympic trials. I was like, "Oh, all right, yeah, I guess I'll try that." And so backstep a little bit. Over the winter, I was out in Philly. I was with some friends. We went, got some dinner and like a drink or so. And I ran into Joey McKenna, and I was like, "Yo, dude, what's going on? Like, haven't seen you. We trained a little bit up at Lehigh a few years ago." And I was like, "What's up, man? How you doing?" He's like, "Oh, yeah, this is my first weekend in Philly. Like, I just joined the RTC here." I was like, "Oh, that's awesome. Like, I've been actually wanting to get back in and training a little bit." And so we exchanged numbers, went on our way. So now we'll go back to where I was a few months down the road. I was like, "Dude, remember we ran into McKenna at out in Philly there? I'll hit him up." So I got into contact with him and Coach Slay. And they were like, "Yeah, man, come in. Let's see what you got." So I went in. We did this was the end of February. Me and Joe, we just did a workout together with Coach Slay. Once that clock hit 0 on the timer, I went straight to the bathroom and puked my guts out. A little bit out of shape, but at the next day, I didn't throw up. I almost did. And then the third day, I was back to, I was good. So that was in February, March. And then obviously coronavirus hit, NCAA shut down. So we weren't able to train much until I started. So I got back to my training like 3 or 4 weeks ago. So that was kind of the whole story on that. It was kind of random, running into him in the city and then, just figuring I'd give it a shot once the season ended. And so, I've been working pretty hard the last month. And, I think it showed over this past weekend, how fun, I do definitely still have something to go out for, but that won't be my last appearance. So the senior nationals, the over 23 nationals out in Iowa, October 10th and 11th, I believe. I'll be heading out there. So I'll be wrestling at 74 kilos. Yep.
74. That's awesome, dude. And and how did you get in touch with the NLWC guys and get that whole, just this past weekend? How did that all come about?
Right. So that was Coach Slay's doing. Coach Brandon Slay. He is the head coach for the PRTC.
Great guy.
Yeah, I love him. He's a great guy. He's got some good morals. He's a very good guy. He's got a great mindset on everything and outlook on life. But he texted me over Labor Day weekend. He was like, "Hey man, just wanted to let you know, may have gotten you a match for this Rockfin event coming up that a couple of our guys are doing." I was like, "Great, just tell me what weight I got to make and I'll be there." So so that was all his doing. He really got me into that and just made me kind of just to see where I'm at with wrestling. And he actually just texted me earlier today and he said, "Hey, Coach Rain and I were talking, after this weekend, I really think you're ready. We want to bring you out to senior nationals with us."
Oh.
So I'll be wearing the PRTC singlet again, heading out there with the team. So
that's fantastic.
Pretty pumped for that, yeah.
Oh man, and that's like right around the corner. That's only in 2 weeks, right?
Like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. I know. It's fast. We'll be ready.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
And then, so what long-term goals do you have, not only for your wrestling, but also, for your life?
Right. So, wrestling, I love to see how far I can take this. I'm currently working on what exactly I want to do here. Like the whole team, we sent out a thing last week about submitting some goals that we want and why we want to do this. Obviously it's the Olympic year. I want to make a run for the trials. Just see how good I can, see how high I can place, if I can place at all. And just like it's just something I love doing. Competing, training, just the grind. I missed it, and I really want to get back out there again. And then with life, hopefully have a family eventually. So I'm a medical sales rep. I do one of our wrestling alumni from F&M got me into the industry, so I go in the OR for like hip and knee replacements and stuff like that. So that's my career, and then I guess the wrestling is more of my hobby right now, but I'm starting to make it a little more than that again. But I definitely like to further my career a little bit more in there. I don't know if I'll stay with this forever, or try to climb up in my company and all. But I definitely like where I'm at right now. I'm able to have a flexible work schedule, and I'm able to train full time as well. So at the moment, that's working for me, and I'm enjoying that. But yeah.
Super blessed, right? To be able to get to do basically the best of both worlds.
Exactly. You got it, dude.
That's incredible, man. Couple last questions here. Like, how is the Penn RTC, and specifically like the people there? Because we hear all the time like Slay is a very profound Christian and a great role model for a lot of these guys, and then that you have all sorts of athletes competing.
Valamont, yeah,
Valamont. What sort of like? What's it like there at the Penn RTC, and how do you fit in with the teammates and just as a collective there? How does it work?
Yeah, so great question. There's definitely it's definitely a motley crew, that's for sure. Coach like
a lot of dudes.
Brown Christian, he's a great guy. Joe McKenna, he actually is pretty up there too with his practices as Christian. He's pretty same with Coach Slay. He's really good guy with a great set of morals. He's into his Christian side as well. And then so Dave McFadden just joined in. Hilarious kid. He's I could listen to him talk all day. He's got stories and stories. He's a storyteller. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Valamont, he's a great guy too. It's an Ethan Lezak's in there. It's just a great group of guys that are in there, and everyone just kind of. Everybody's Ben Honus to join as well. Who else? We have Mark Hall just joined. He hasn't moved to Philly yet. He's finishing up his classes up at Penn State. Jordan
Burroughs and Mark Hall coming in around your weight very soon.
And that's incredible, dude.
So exciting.
You got a heck of a room there.
We have a heck of a room there. We'll definitely all learn from each other. Jordan will be coming back this way after Olympics. He's there now. But so it's definitely, like I say, it's a motley group of guys. Everyone is like, everyone's a little different, but everyone's pretty like just a normal group of guys. Everyone bounces off of each other very well, and we definitely click a lot. Gotten very close with McKenna, McFadden, Honus. I hang out with them a lot. They've become very close friends of mine for the past month or so, and I'm definitely grateful to be part of this team. I really love what they're doing there. They're growing it a lot.
How long do you plan to stay around Philly?
Oh, this is my home area. I've been here my whole life, except for when I was out in Lancaster for college. But I'm definitely I plan on staying around here for, I don't know, it could be forever. I don't know. Could be at least the next few years, though, for sure.
Nice.
As long as I'm training, I will 100% be here as well. I don't plan on looking around anywhere else or trying to go with a team where I want to be 100%. Love these guys.
And you're at Malvern right now too, right?
I'm at Malvern now, so I'm helping out with them coaching there. So I don't have any plans of going anywhere else anytime soon, at least.
How awesome is that program doing right now? They've got such a good youth program building up right now, and their high schools just keep getting better.
Yeah, so I think that program is just taking leaps and bounds as well. Hopefully our end goal is to be there. Blair, Wyoming Seminary. They're obviously
right.
But we've got some guys that are up there, contenders with them. And so like the youth program come a long way as well. So I remember when I was growing up, it was Mark Club. It was a club in my hometown, and Nate, the head coach there now, Nate Lauder, when I was in high school, transferred that youth program over to Malvern Youth, and since then he's been getting the top kids in the area, and they've been more of a funnel for the high school. So now what you're seeing is all of these top youth kids coming up through that program, and they're getting into high school. Mm-hmm. So now we have a full lineup. We have like 2-3 guys at each weight. They're just looking great. They're training hard. They're currently on like a Tuesday, Thursday practice schedule, and then that'll hopefully increase. I don't know what kind of the regulations are right now. It's kind of a weird time. Yeah, but yeah, they're doing great. They're working hard.
That's special, dude. You're in a really great situation right now, and it's cool to see. Like, you kind of take a hiatus the last couple of years, and now you're back, dude. You're back in business. So you had an excellent showing this past weekend against Malik Heinzelman. No, excuse me. Not Heinzelman. I'm getting all my M names mixed up.
Yeah.
Malik Amin.
Right.
Heinzelman is with Ohio State.
Yeah, kind of benefited me. There's not much film out there to watch or like scout on me, so I kind of came out like a dark horse, no one really knowing what was going to happen with me. My freestyle training is very limited, so kind of no one's really sure what was going to happen, but I think I definitely surprised some people, so that was nice.
It was great. You got him on the edge and you scored quick, and excellent finishes. It was super entertaining to watch. It was very cool to see.
Yeah, thank you,
man. So
that's what Coach Slay, Coach Training, they were like, all right, so there's a chance you're going to have a lead in this match. What's going to be your strategy to kind of slow the match down? So I was like, I don't really know how to answer that because my strategy when I'm up is continue to attack and just stay on the offensive, and that's nice. really my defense. So that's the kind of match I like, and I keep that pace, and I think I did that pretty well. So I was happy with myself for that.
Who are your training partners right now?
I've been going a lot with Joe McKenna. We've been going a lot. So we try and beat the crap out of each other, the two of us. We go back and forth a lot. We've been training with McFadden a lot as well, Valamont. And then we have a lot of the Drexel guys come in with us. So we have a lot of their team is in as well. So we have a big group of guys that we're really all working hard and bouncing off and learning from each other. So it's going pretty well.
That's exciting, dude.
Yeah.
Man. So we're kind of towards the end of this interview.
Yeah. Also, if there are any questions you guys would have specifically for me that I can help you out with anything, let me know.
No, hey, you're the man, dude. We really appreciate you taking your time and coming on. It's just another one of these interview podcasts here at Home Advantage. We really appreciate you and all you do for the sport, coaching and competing, and it's very cool to see, and being a good role model for kids, kids like us. So
yeah, man. No, anytime. Thank you for having me on here as well.
Rick, is there any last thoughts you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Yeah, sure. Just one thing, like we talked about a little bit on this episode here. Don't be afraid to set your goals and actually wake up, read them every day, make sure they're there. It doesn't have to be all about wrestling. It can be, what you want to accomplish for the day, month, for the year. And it doesn't always have to be wrestling. It can be just life. That make sure you put everything you have into whatever you do. It's gonna be 5 years from now, and you're gonna look back and say, you know what? Let's say, I wish I went out and ran that one day. I wish I went and gotten lifted, or I did that extra workout with so and so. Just make sure you kind of have no regrets moving on through life. It could be that girl you want to get out there and talk to. Like, I wish I went up to and introduced myself to that girl I thought was pretty across.
I don't give Sam any ideas.
Notes over there.
Oh man, that's awesome. That's really fantastic, man.
You guys have my number. If you ever need anything, send me a text. If you got any questions, let me know.
Dude,
absolutely. We really appreciate it.
You're the man, Rick. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening to another episode of the Home Advantage Wrestling Podcast. As always, I'm Jude Swisher. That's Sam Herring. That's Rick Durso. We'll see you guys next time.
Signing out. See you guys. Thank you.